My name is Abigail Lawrence, and I'm 35 years old. I was born the eldest daughter of a wealthy family living in Boston's prestigious Beacon Hill neighborhood and graduated from Harvard Business School. I grew up in this historic district, lined with brick mansions overlooking the Charles River. However, I didn't follow the path my family expected of me. After graduation, while many of my classmates went on to work for investment banks and major consulting firms, I chose the path of charitable work. For 10 years, I've been involved in various community service activities, from running homeless shelters to supporting children's education. I have no interest in flashy clothes or luxury brands, preferring to live simply in modest attire. I'm not one to forcefully assert my opinions either, perhaps a result of growing up watching my parents' overbearing attitudes. My father, William, runs an investment advisory firm. His favorite phrase is, "Uphold the Lawrence family tradition." He's devoted to his Brooks Brothers suits and, as a regular member of the Harvard Club, spends nearly every week dining with business clients. Always conscious of appearances and rather vain, he disapproves of my lifestyle. When I started my charitable work, he declared it a family disgrace and wouldn't speak to me for a week. My mother, Martha, is known as a prominent figure in Boston society. Adorned in Chanel and Hermes, she hosts bridge gatherings every Thursday. While she's a regular at charity events, it's merely for social purposes. She seems to have no interest in genuine social contribution. For her, what matters most is how many right people she can associate with. At home, she's always submissive to my father's opinions, and regarding my life choices, she simply echoed his disapproval. Then there's my sister Caroline, who at just 28 serves as a vice president at an investment bank. She's addicted to luxury brands and has over 100,000 social media followers. Her Instagram is filled daily with photos of the latest fashion and celebrity parties, earning her the nickname Boston's Flower. She spends her weekends at the Newport Yacht Club as a matter of routine. As my parents' shining star, she's become the family's pride. In stark contrast to me, she's always been the recipient of our parents' doting attention. 2 months ago, our family held an important meeting in the living room. In the reception room with heavy burgundy curtains drawn, in front of the antique fireplace, when I began to discuss expanding my charitable activities, my father dismissed it as another wasteful endeavor. My mother sighed, asking, "How long will you keep this up?" And my sister scoffed, saying, "You'll lose social media followers." The atmosphere in that moment felt frozen. They called my activities a family disgrace and stopped getting invited to society parties. However, at that time, I was actually harboring a secret. I had been in confidential talks with corporate executives, and my appointment as president had been internally decided. The 10 years of charitable work had actually been a carefully planned period to gain necessary experience as a business leader. The official announcement was scheduled for 1 week after my sister's wedding. There were 4 reasons for keeping this appointment secret: the management's consideration of stock price impact, avoiding industry turmoil over appointing a young female president, protecting the family from excessive media attention, and needing time for a smooth transfer of authority. Therefore, I explained it to my family as an expansion of charitable activities, while employees were bound by confidentiality agreements. Carrying this momentous secret while maintaining casual conversations with my family each day proved more emotionally taxing than I had imagined. And now, my sister's wedding is approaching. Her fiancé is James Wilson, an investment bank executive and Princeton University graduate. Coming from a prestigious New York upper-class family, skilled in tennis and golf, he was the ideal marriage partner. My mother rejoiced daily, saying, "It will be a perfect wedding," while my father couldn't stop bragging about his future son-in-law at business dinners. The wedding was set to take place at the Ritz Luxury Hotel. 300 guests, with a budget of $500,000. Preparations for the extravagant ceremony proceeded steadily. And I was to be treated as merely an event coordinator. From flower arrangements to seating chart verification, I was treated like hotel staff. No one knew that this venue would soon become mine. As the wedding day drew closer, indescribable emotions swirled within me. On the morning of the wedding day, I arrived at the Ritz Luxury Hotel before anyone else. A cool breeze from the Charles River swept around the historic building. The doorman opened the door politely, giving a slight bow with a "Good morning, Ms. Lawrence." He was one of the staff members who knew I would be the new president. Stepping into the lobby, the crystal chandelier sparkled in the morning sun. The marble floor still showed faint traces of last night's cleaning. In the banquet room, several staff members had already begun preparations. Upon seeing me, they momentarily froze, then quickly averted their eyes. All had signed confidentiality agreements and knew I would soon become the head of this establishment. Their complex emotions were visible in their expressions as they had to act as staff under my orders today while knowing this truth. Should we move the reception flowers a bit to the left? Please confirm the final catering details. Check the seating chart once more for any printing errors. As I issued instructions one after another, I kept apologizing in my heart. Today only, I had to give orders from above to those I usually treated as equals. It was a difficult act for both me and them. Still, the staff followed my instructions with perfect professionalism. Occasionally, the look of respect in their eyes warmed my heart. At 10 a.m., my sister arrived in the bridal room. In her pure white Vera Wang wedding dress, she looked as if she had stepped out of a fashion magazine. Mother was already perfectly made up in a lilac Oscar de la Renta dress. I wore a simple Brooks Brothers navy suit. The reflection of the three of us in the mirror looked like people from different worlds. "Abigail, could you have someone bring tea for the makeup artist?" Mother's words made the makeup artist look apologetic. "And I don't like this bouquet arrangement. Could you have it all redone?" My sister gave me a condescending look through the mirror. At 11 a.m., guests began arriving steadily. Representatives of Boston's upper society appeared one after another at the hotel. Prominent politicians, corporate executives, and social elites. The lobby filled with displays of Chanel, Hermes, and Gucci. Numerous reporters also gathered, photographing the fashionable attendees. Father proudly welcomed the guests, introducing me as just a helper. Mother directed me to sit at the staff table, trying to hide my existence. Her gestures clearly showed embarrassment. My sister continued taking selfies and uploading them to social media, occasionally barking orders at staff. She treated my presence as if I were completely invisible. Past noon, the ceremony was about to begin. In the chapel with its cathedral-like high ceiling, 300 guests had taken their seats. As the solemn tones of the pipe organ echoed, I stood quietly near the staff entrance, waiting for the ceremony to begin. Then my eyes caught sight of a gentleman. It was former President Hamilton. With an impressively straight posture belying his 70 years, dressed in a gray Brooks Brothers suit. He looked at me through his gold-rimmed glasses. He was attending as the groom's father's college friend. He was one of the few attendees who knew my position. And he had seen how I was being treated here today. Behind his mild expression, I could see a hint of suppressed anger. He started to say something, but I shook my head slightly. It wasn't time yet. He seemed to understand and nodded, heading to his seat. One of the staff noticed the exchanged glances between him and me, and secretly smiled. They knew. They knew that soon, a big ripple would spread through this quiet venue. The violin music began, and all guests turned around simultaneously. My sister, in her pure white dress, entered on our father's arm. With a perfect smile, perfect pace, as if walking a perfect life. About an hour had passed since the reception began. The sound of champagne corks popping echoed continuously, and the laughter of guests around the tables filled the venue. I sat at the staff table among the servers. While the aroma of prime rib roast wafted from the pristine white tablecloths, my throat felt unusually dry. Former President Hamilton stood up. In his composed navy suit with a modest red tie. Wearing his usual gentle smile, he approached the podium. As the venue fell silent, he took the microphone. Jim, and distinguished guests. His warm voice resonated through the venue. My friendship with Jim Wilson spans over 50 years. Our college days at Harvard University, the youth we spent in this city, and the countless memories at this Ritz luxury hotel. The atmosphere in the venue took on a nostalgic hue. Ladies and gentlemen smiling elegantly. At the main table, my parents wore satisfied expressions. My sister, nestled close to her new husband, remained absorbed in taking smartphone photos. This hotel is not merely a building. It's a silent witness that has walked alongside Boston's history, watching over important moments in people's lives. Hamilton's gaze briefly turned to me. The sound of servers holding their breath could be heard. Time flows on, and our industry is facing a major period of transformation. While preserving tradition, we must accept new values and achieve innovation. That's what's demanded in modern hotel management. For this purpose, we spent 2 years searching for the next generation leader. Someone with young sensibilities, care for employee happiness, and above all, a sincere spirit of social contribution. Father wore a puzzled expression as he reached for his whiskey glass. Mother fanned herself while exchanging glances with her society friends. My sister remained absorbed in finding the right angle for her photos. Actually, that person is among us here today. The atmosphere in the venue instantly froze. For the past 2 months, we've kept an important decision secret. To consider the impact on stock prices, show consideration for the industry, prepare for media responses, and above all, ensure time for a smooth transfer of authority. Hamilton's voice grew even stronger. Ms. Abigail Lawrence. Father's whiskey glass clinked. Mother's fan stopped. My sister's selfie smartphone fell onto the table. Please come forward. The servers gently pushed my back. With unsteady steps, I walked toward the podium. 300 pairs of eyes focused on me at once. She is the new president of Ritz Luxury Hotels. A sound of collective gasps spread like a wave through the venue. Her 10 years of charitable work was actually a grand study anticipating our industry's future. She has gained experience at all levels, from the front lines to top management, learning hospitality that touches people's hearts. She is truly the ideal successor. Father's face turned pale as he choked on his water. Mother desperately fanned herself as sweat began to ruin her makeup. My sister stared blankly at her dropped fork. The groom, James, watched me with a complex expression. Surprised voices rose one after another from among the society elite. Media representatives simultaneously took out their smartphones, beginning to record this historic moment. Hotel industry representatives excitedly began exchanging information. "Now, may we have a word from our new president?" Hamilton extended the microphone to me. At that moment, the servers began a small applause. Front desk staff, housekeepers, concierges, kitchen staff. Their eyes showed pride and joy. Taking a deep breath, I accepted the microphone. The soft light from the crystal chandelier enveloped me as 300 gazes concentrated on one point. The weight was beyond imagination. Under my deep blue Brooks Brothers suit, my heart was beating fiercely. Yet strangely, my hands weren't shaking. Standing straight, I slowly brought the microphone to my lips. The experience I had cultivated over these 10 years on the front lines supported me in this moment. The server's small applause felt like emotional support. I apologize for keeping this secret until now. My voice echoed through the silent venue. However, to become worthy of this position, I spent 10 years learning in the field. The staff's eyes shone with pride. They knew that while I volunteered at homeless shelters, I simultaneously worked as a hotel cleaning staff. While supporting children's education, I learned guest service at the front desk. While appearing to be just a charity worker, I was actually diligently learning all aspects of management. Over these 10 years, I have listened to every guest's voice, understood every staff member's thoughts, and learned firsthand about balancing this hotel's tradition and innovation. The expressions of the attendees gradually changed. From initial surprise to interested gazes. And gradually, colors of understanding and empathy began to appear. Hotel industry veterans hurriedly took out their business cards. "This is surprising, but it makes sense," rising from the ranks, eh? Quiet conversations began throughout the venue. Media representatives simultaneously took out smartphones and laptops, beginning to write breaking news. Camera flashes intermittently lit up. TV station staff began preparing for broadcasts. Young female president's shocking appointment, 10-year grand personnel development plan, the truth behind charitable activities. The sound of headlines being typed could be faintly heard. Among the social elite, calculations considering new power relationships had already begun. "We should have been nicer to her then, we should establish relationships early." Mother's bridge companions shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Meanwhile, the family's situation was devastating. Father, pale-faced, desperately loosened his tie. Large drops of sweat appeared on his forehead, his hands wouldn't stop shaking. His investment advisor's instincts probably made him understand the gravity of this situation. The irony of a man who had called his daughter a family disgrace actually having scorned an industry innovator. That reality seemed to be crushing his heart. Mother appeared to be crushed under the gazes of her society friends. With each sigh, her supposedly perfect makeup crumbled further. Her figure wrapped in Chanel seemed somewhat ridiculous. The consequences of mocking my lifestyle at weekly bridge gatherings were now tormenting her. And my sister. Perhaps she showed the most dramatic change. Her crying figure seemed like a parody of a scene from Breakfast at Tiffany's. Her perfectly applied makeup was smearing, her luxury brand wedding dress becoming wrinkled. She desperately operated her smartphone, checking her social media posts. She could probably see her followers rapidly decreasing. The false image of Boston's flower was crumbling with an audible sound. The groom, James, watched the situation with a complex expression. As an investment bank executive, he must understand the business implications of this development. The sudden rise of his wife's sister as an industry leader. Something seemed to be greatly rewritten in his heart. This place has many excellent staff members. I continued my speech. They passionately provide the best service to our guests every day. My role is to make that passion shine even brighter. And to create a new era hotel where tradition and innovation harmonize. At that moment, all staff members stood up and gave a big applause. Doormen, bellboys, front desk staff, housekeeping, restaurant staff. Their eyes held the light of pride and hope. That applause gradually spread to the attendees. Hotel industry veterans, media representatives, and society elites. The circle of applause spread throughout the venue. The only ones not applauding were the family at the main table. Around them alone, time seemed to have stopped. Former President Hamilton approached and quietly whispered to father and mother. "Your daughter will become an excellent manager. Isn't it time to feel true pride?" These words would mark the beginning of a new family story. Yet how it would unfold was still unknown to everyone. At this moment, only the truth had been revealed, and ripples were spreading. And those ripples would surely change everyone's lives. 1 month later. Early summer sunlight poured through the glass windows of the Ritz Luxury Hotel. My presidential inauguration ceremony was about to take place in the same banquet room as the wedding. This time, over 400 attendees had gathered. Hotel industry leaders, economic media reporters, and notable figures from various fields. The events from the wedding a month ago had become industry legend, and several economic magazines had already run feature articles. While headlines varied, they unanimously welcomed my appointment. The stock price had risen over 20% after the announcement. Reservation rates had reached an all-time high, with particularly strong support from younger generations. Employee expressions had also brightened. Beyond improvements in salary and benefits, having a manager who sincerely listened to their voices had brought significant changes. President Lawrence, here's the proposal for the new sustainability project. There's a staff suggestion regarding the self-reliance support program for the homeless. We've compiled a revision proposal for the employee childcare support system. I carefully reviewed each report that arrived. Former colleagues I had worked with as cleaning staff, coworkers I had learned guest service with at the front desk. Each of their thoughtful proposals would help create the hotel's future. Meanwhile, my family's situation had changed dramatically. Father's investment advisory firm had fallen into serious management crisis. Many major clients had terminated their contracts, citing his lack of foresight. Ironically, his past comments calling me a family disgrace had damaged his own social credibility. My usually forceful father suddenly looked aged. One day, father visited my office. I was wrong, he confessed in a trembling voice. Seeing my father's vulnerability for the first time stirred complex emotions in my chest. Mother had effectively been exiled from society. She was expelled from the weekly bridge club, and party invitations from former friends had ceased. Even wrapped in Chanel and Hermes, her appearance seemed somehow empty. Everything is my responsibility. Mother apologized to me with her makeup-stained face. I never once tried to understand your feelings. Her smeared eyeliner told the story of her regret. And my sister. She indeed showed the most dramatic change. Her bank promotion was revoked, and her social media followers decreased by more than 80% in 1 month. The media mercilessly reported on the fall of Boston's flower. Her newlywed life had also gotten off to a rocky start. Her husband James had begun to understand his wife's true nature, valuing appearances over practical ability. 2 weeks after the wedding, he began living separately, citing a job transfer. One rainy night, my sister visited my office. How did you become so strong? She broke down crying, still clutching her brand name bag. I have nothing left. My social media followers, my husband, my career. I've lost everything. I quietly embraced my sister. You haven't lost what truly matters. But family. And yourself. That night, I invited the whole family to my home. Dinner in my modest apartment. We ate takeout Chinese food around an old table. No fancy dinnerware, no expensive wine. Yet the sentiment in that meal was warmer than any luxury cuisine. Father spoke up. Would you let me help with your company? If there's anything I can do too. Mother said in a small voice. I want to start from scratch. My sister whispered. It was the beginning of a new family. I proposed a CSR consulting position for father. Mother was put in charge of planning hotel charity events. For my sister, I offered an opportunity to learn from hands-on work rather than social media marketing. Everyone starts from the ground up, I said, and my family quietly nodded. This was the first step toward true success. The beginning of a journey to shed pretense and rediscover what's essential. On Inauguration Day, various lives intersected in the banquet room. Industry representatives, media, and family. Father wore a modest suit, mother toned down her branded items, and my sister showed a genuine smile for the first time. Standing at the podium, I took a deep breath. The sunlight streaming through the windows seemed to herald the dawn of a new era. Today, I would like to share with you our new vision. My voice quietly resonated through the venue. It's about the coexistence of tradition and innovation. And above all, realizing hospitality that touches people's hearts. The staff gave warm glances. My family, for the first time, showed proud expressions. And I began to weave a new story. After 10 years of silence, the truth was revealed, and everything changed. But that wasn't an ending, it was a new beginning. The opening of a new chapter for both the Ritz Luxury Hotel and the Lawrence family.